Hi, I'm Shannon. I am an educator, a yoga instructor, and a life coach.
And I'm Laura, and I am a proactive health strategist.
And together we are Doubly Well. Welcome to today's episode, Can You Hear Me? Today's episode is on listening and communication skills. Laura, do you want to begin?
Sure. So, I'd say my first thing is hold your fire. And what I mean by that is when someone is speaking, instead of sitting there in your head thinking of all the things that you want to say and you're not really listening, stop and just listen, and don't be ready to just fire out whatever you want to say as soon as they're done talking. Really think about what they're saying, listen to what they're saying, because you never know. They might be even saying something that you were going to say. So hold your fire till people are done. And you never know how it'll turn out. It might turn out to better you in some way.
Awesome. Okay, part of being a good listener is knowing what your gifts are and your challenges are. What do I mean by that? So when you're listening, especially if there's conflict and maybe your emotions are heightened, sometimes we don't do our best with our skills that we've acquired and worked on. What are some pitfalls for that? Sometimes we interrupt, like Laura talked about holding your fire. Sometimes we're defensive. Sometimes we're not open-hearted. So try, before you talk with someone, to know what your style is and know what your challenge is. So I'll just make myself vulnerable in this moment and say, when I'm in a heated conversation and my emotions are running high, I'm an interrupter. I'm really eager to fix things and to be heard and hear somebody. And so sometimes I don't wait for them to finish completely, not intentionally, but just out of my eagerness.
I can see that happening.
Yeah.
We all do that every once in a while.
Some of us do that a lot.
We're working on it.
That's right. This is not about being perfect. This is about talking about areas that we can grow.
And we can all grow, that's for sure.
Good.
So another tip I would say is definitely maintain eye contact. You know, there's nothing worse than talking to someone and they are looking at their phone, they're looking all around, you know they're not listening to you. There's nothing worse than that. You know, I'll be a little vulnerable here, and I love my husband very much, but if he is watching TV or on the computer and he is not listening, he will not look at me, he does not make eye contact, I have no idea if he heard me or not. I actually have to ask him, so what did I just say? He's actually usually pretty good about it, but those two areas, you know, so when you're talking to someone, make eye contact. Let them know that you're actually listening to them. I really like that. And, you know, it just feels good when you're talking to someone, you're having a deep conversation, and they're just really into it and listening to you. It just makes the other person feel really good. And that's what we want. We want to make other people feel good as well, you know?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Another thing that we can do to improve communication is to ask someone if they're ready for the conversation and respect the amount of time they may need, or the appropriateness of the time to talk, or any other reason that they're not ready to share their feelings or even listen to yours. On the flip side of that, we need to make sure that we're ready too, and check in, you know, is our mind ready to hear what they have to say? Are we willing to be vulnerable and open-hearted? Are we ready to grow? Are we ready to take responsibility and apologize when that needs to happen? So it's good to just ask somebody, are you ready to talk? Or if you're not ready to talk, just say, hey, do you mind waiting until I feel a little more ready for this conversation? I want to show up present. I want to be a good listener, and I want to speak from my heart.
And what I think is so good about that as well is it's so much better than just ignoring someone and not getting back to them. It's so much better to have that communication and know, you know, right now is not a good time for me. I need to kind of, you know, sit with this for a little bit before we have this conversation. And then people at least know that you are acknowledging them and that you do want to have the conversation. It's just not the right time yet. And I like that, you know.
For sure.
So when people ignore me, oh, I don't like that.
And sometimes we need to think about how we feel about something, what we want our actions to be, and even check our own thoughts about it, and just understand where we're at with the, you know, with the situation. And, you know, not even just in regard to conflict, but if you're excited about an idea, you're working on a project together, it's okay to take your time and get really clear about where you are and let the other person do that as well.
I agree. Good point.
Thanks.
My last one would say, this is kind of an interesting one in this day and age, is we all have cell phones, right? And a lot of our cell phones are on delay. So if you don't have great reception, there's a little bit of delay. And so sometimes what happens to me is I just start talking thinking that the person has finished, but the person hasn't finished. There's just a delay in the phone, and I start talking, and then they're like, oh wait, I'm not done. And so what I always do is just apologize. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please continue. And it's hard because there's delay, or people maybe need time to think about something for a second or two. And a second or two when you're on the phone with someone is like a lifetime sometimes. You're like, are they still there? Just, be aware that there could be a delay, and to just maybe pause and take a second before speaking to make sure that the other person is done. Because that's kind of a hard one with our cell phones these days, and whether you have good reception or bad reception. Where I live, I don't have good reception at all, so this tends to happen to me a lot. And I don't ever mean to interrupt people or jump into when they're talking, because that's really not okay to do. So I always, if that happens, just apologize and let the person continue.
That's great, Laura. Perfect.
Thanks.
The last one that I want to share is trying to stay on the same team. So sometimes when we're talking with someone, and especially if we disagree about something, we can feel like we're not on the same team. You against me, your idea against mine, your feelings versus mine, who's right, who's wrong, who's better, who's worse. If you can remember that you're on the same team and the objective is to end with both people feeling well or better or okay, it just seems to go a lot better. And it's even okay to say, gosh, I feel myself getting away from being a team player here, and I'm sorry about that. Or, hey, let's just both take a deep breath and remember we're on the same team. We want a solution that works for both of us. We don't have to agree in the end, but we can respect each other. Hey, I like you, I love you, I care about you, I want to hear you, I want to understand you. And if you can try to keep putting yourself back in the team player stance, seems like you get better results. Yeah?
Yeah. Definitely, because we're not always going to agree on the same stuff, and there's definitely conversations in our world today that a lot of people don't agree with, but it's okay to still like those people even if you disagree, and maybe you can learn something from the situation as well.
Yeah, I'd say of all of the things we've talked about, if we can try to understand and learn from each other, we all win.
Absolutely.
Yeah? Great.
I love win-wins.
Me too. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. Please follow us and subscribe. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We'd love to see you and share in our growing experiences with you. Please ask questions, comments, and invite other people to join us as well. We look forward to seeing you on our next episode.
Because why are we here?
To have fun and to help people.
Yay! Have a healthy, happy day.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
See you next time.